Man, this networking sure is fun, but I just don't get the OSI model. I really wish I could relate to something I already understand.
Well, hey, I heard this guy, I think his name's Professor Gramps VonStein. He's holding a seminar in this room right after class. And it's supposed to tell us how the OSI model is kind of like foreign language. Speaking of which, do you speak any foreign languages?
Not really, but I know programming. That's kind of like foreign language,
Oh,
isn't it?
yeah, definitely. But, how does a foreign language relate to this freaking OSI model anyway?
You've got me, dude. Class is over, though, so we might as well stay and find out.
You know what? Word to your mom.
Ah, hello guys. I am Professor Gramps VonStein's, and I heard that you wanted to learn about the Open Systems Interconnection Model.
Whoa, big word, Professor Gramps VonStein. What gives?
Hey, dum-dum. The OSI model stands for the Open Systems Interconnection, or OSI model.
Please, just call me Gramps. And right you are, young man. Tell me, what is your name?
Oh, well, I'm Dennis.
Right. And you, young man, what is your name?
My mom told me not to talk to strangers.
Oh, okay. So we will just call you Guess. Well, Dennis and Guess, today I am going to relate the OSI model to a foreign language. It's such a basic concept, even you ninnies can understand. We will start with a quick review of the OSI model. So who can tell me, how many layers are there in the OSI model?
Seven.
Very good. And what are these 7 layers?
It has something to do with data processing, right?
Ah, yes. All people seem to need data processing. We'll just write the first letter of every word up here. Now, does anybody know what the top layer is here? No? Okay, well I'll start you off with the top layer. We'll go from there. The top layer is the application layer.
Well, I know after physical layer comes the presentation layer, and then the session layer.
Well, I think it's after the application layer comes the presentation layer.
Oh, good.
Oh, okay. And then the session layer, you say? Does anybody know what's next? I wrote it wrong.
Oh, man, you know what? It's got to be that transport layer. That goes next.
The transport layer.
Then after that, definitely the network layer.
Okay. The D must stand for data link.
Haha, I like that data link. And that leaves us with the physical layer. Right you are. Okay, now how to figure out how this is all like a foreign language. We can start at the top or the bottom. Do you kids prefer the top or the bottom?
I say we start at the top since that's the way the data would really flow.
You would. Alright then, we start with the application layer. This layer provides networking services to the programs you're using on your devices. Let me give you an example. If we were connecting to a website, our computer would be using a web client to access a web server, which holds information we are looking for, aka the website. They have to use the Hypertext Transfer Protocol, or HTTP, to communicate back and forth. Thus, this is a network service which resides on the application layer.
But, it has nothing to do with foreign language, Gramps.
I don't know, man. It kind of sounds like a classroom. You know, you'd be the web client and the teacher would be the server.
Mm-hmm.
But without the classroom that holds the tools we use to learn the subject, like chalkboards and stuff, we wouldn't be able to do anything together. So the classroom is like HTTP, right?
Very nice job, Guess. Why don't you come sit on Grandpa's lap?
No, I'm good.
Hey, wait a second. What about me?
So, where were we? Ah, yes, the presentation layer. Can anyone tell me what the presentation layer does?
Well, last night I read that the presentation layer kind of formats outgoing messages, and it turns them into something suitable for network transmission. And it also makes it strong enough so that they can survive the trip across the wire. So, I'm pretty sure it handles something like conversions between file formats for different operating systems.
You are correct. So in a foreign language class, what contains all the rules for converting from one language to another?
The textbook?
You two are just on a roll. Right. So your textbook tells you what a word in language A will mean in language B. Not only that, it also formats into a universally accepted language. What I mean is that if you were to join my Spanish class and read the textbook, it may say, Me llamo Guess, which would mean, my name is Guess.
So, if I travel all the way over to Spain right now, talk to someone who spoke only Spanish, I could expect them to understand something like, Me llamo Dennis. And this is kind of like the way the presentation layer makes it data ready to stay across the same network, right?
Yes, yes, yes. You are catching on now. Nice work, boys.
So, I sit on your lap now.
You wish. Anyway, moving on to the session layer.
Hey, I know all about this one. This session layer is in control of ongoing communications called sessions. It also takes care of identification, making sure only authorized users can join a session.
Okay, but Gramps, what the heck does that really mean?
Dude, I just told you.
Oh, shut it, Guess.
Boys, boys, boys. I know the OSI model is exciting, but it is nothing to fight over. Think of it this way. In order to have a foreign language class, you need to have a session time and a list of people who are allowed into the class. What is this like?
Sounds kind of like Angel to me.
I always wondered what a child of God sounded like.
Beautiful. No. Angel's the website we use for our classes at Penn College. It has a syllabus on it, the class roster, and stuff like that. The syllabus tells us when and where to meet for class, like a session, and the class roster says who's allowed in, just like the identification that happens on the session layer.
Well, very good then. Do you want to sit on my lap now?
WTF, mate.
Gramps.
Dennis.
Rude.
Your mom goes to college.
What?
Can anyone tell me about the freaking transport layer or what? Let's get with it.
I'm pretty sure it transports.
Dude, there's way more than that, alright? It actually manages the transfer data from one application to another. And it even checks it over just to ensure an error-free delivery. One way it manages the data is by breaking a bigger file into tiny little chunks that can be sent across the network. Then, puts them all back together, and in the right order, on the receiving end.
Man, your mom must go to college.
What the?
I mean, last night we were talking on the phone, and she was all like, guess the TCP and UDP protocols work at the transport layer. TCP is a connection-oriented protocol, which uses flow control to check for errors. However, UDP is connectionless and simply sends things over and assumes that they are getting there correctly.
Man, my mom is smart.
She's something, alright.
What?
Boys, what I mean is, that the transport layer is like me, the teacher of the class. You can have two types of teachers generally. Now, one teacher will ask questions to make sure that you understand the content, and if you don't, the teacher will retransmit the corrupted or dropped information. The other kind of teacher is the one that just keeps going and going and going and never checks to see if you actually grasp the material.
Yeah, that makes sense. So the teacher also breaks down the information from the book into daily lessons so that we can receive the information easier. Kind of sounds a lot like the transport layer, too.
Dude, you rock.
Anyway, what's next?
Wait, what layer are we on again?
I think it was layer 3.
Alright, the network layer. My favorite. Now then, pay close attention because this is going to get pretty intense for a second. Are you ready? Ready. Oh.
So what about the network layer?
Oh yeah. So getting back to getting intense. First, let's get a clear and general definition of the network layer.
I know it handles addressing, and that it also translates logical addresses into physical addresses, or the MAC address.
Yeah, and you know what? It's also in charge of routing it from the sender to the receiver.
Exactly. So anytime you see router, just remember the network layer. That's why the network layer is just like your teacher's office hours.
That wasn't very intense, and I still have no idea how that is anything like my teacher's office hours, Gramps.
Okay. But if we went back up to the presentation layer, we would be reminded of something called the redirector. Now the redirector operates on the presentation layer. Its job is to intercept requests and determine if they can or can't be handled locally. Now if the request is not local, then the redirector, the presentation layer up here, needs to route it across the network. And what operates at the network layer?
The router.
Correct.
Okay, but how the heck is that related to the teacher's office hours?
It's a good thing you asked, because I had totally forgot about that. So let's say you need some help, and as it turns out, you need this help now. But it's not class time yet. How can I talk to my teacher one-on-one?
Well, you're probably going to want to refer to your syllabus and then check and see when the teacher's office hours are.
Exactly. So we're going back up to layer 2, and since we're in the presentation layer, we know that the redirector is going to say, oh, your teacher's office hours are at O'Mal Licky Licky o'clock in room 350 Bum Bum.
Seriously, WTF, mate.
Alright, so the syllabus would be the redirector on the presentation layer, and is going to work through the network layer to reroute you to your teacher's office during their office hours.
Man, maybe you should be the teacher. You make a lot more sense than this old man.
What's that, son? I couldn't quite hear you.
2 layers left. Let's just power through it, man.
Very well, then. Let's move on to the data link layer. The data link layer takes a network layer packet and turns it into a frame, which can be given to the physical layer, and vice versa. It also adds the FCS, or frame check sequence trailer at the end, which ensures the data arrives safely. Don't forget, though, it's still the job of the transport layer to retransmit the data.
Well, this one's easy, man. That sounds just like my brain. You know what I mean? Like, before I say something, I have to take my thoughts and turn it into a form people will actually understand. Especially since I think in all ones and zeros and Dennis's mom.
Seriously, what is all this crap about my mom?
You heard him.
Obviously. So anyway, if I was in Spanish class and I'm trying to say a phrase correctly in Spanish, but it kind of gets a little messed up and Spanglish is coming out, then that's like a layer 2 error, right?
Darn Skippy. It doesn't stop there, though. The data link layer also adds a header to the frame with the source and destination address.
Oh, so like if we were all in the same room talking about Dennis's mom again, we wouldn't broadcast it loudly enough for Dennis to hear. We would just whisper it to each other, right?
Exactly. And in turn, you are coincidentally addressing your signal to be received by a specific destination.
That's enough. I'm filing a complaint.
Please, just a moment. Now wait till we're done. There's only one layer to go. Who knows what it is? Exactly, the physical layer. Now who can tell me about the physical layer?
Wake up!
Okay, wait a second. Physical layer kind of converts a frame from the network layer into signals that can be transmitted across a network medium.
And it also deals with your little wires and hit cards, whatever they're called.
I think you might mean NIT cards, but for the most part, correct. So, pretend we're back in Spanish class. We just walked in and it is the first day. As the teacher walks in, we send him a hello, and in return, he sends us, Hola, mi nombre es Ricardo, y me gusta Dennis's madre.
Gramps, I think your data got a little corrupted on layer 2. Right up there in your brain.
Maybe he was just trying to erase his glaucoma. Know what I mean?
So, just like you wouldn't walk into the first day of Spanish class and expect to speak fluent Spanish, you wouldn't plug a strand of fiber optic cabling into an RJ45 jack. It just wouldn't work.
Well, physical layer would be kind of like your mouth and ears, or something, right?
Elaborate, son. Okay, so your brain turns the thoughts into presentable ideas at layer 2, and then your mouth, which is on the physical layer, would send a signal to another person, which they could understand through their ears.
Oh, so that's what you meant by that RJ45 jack thing. So basically you're saying we have to be using the same medium or we can't communicate, right?
Correct. Okay, Dennis. Now you can sit on my lap.